Welcome here to TalkFCB and welcome to the brand new season and welcome to Xavi's first press conference. And I've got to say today, absolutely fascinating words from Xavi, and that is why I had to bring you here a full video on what he had to say in terms of new signings, his expectations for the season, his thoughts of course on the registration issues right now and the latest on that, along with possible exits still. Aubameyang was mentioned, Frenkie de Jong was mentioned in detail. There is a lot to get through and very, very interesting words. It is all coming up for you as we get started again in the brand new season. So come on, let's do this. Because Xavi did indeed start by saying we start the season here with real excitement. The club have done a tremendous job this summer. I'm excited about the new signings and the team that we've managed to build. He said we've also had a great pre-season. We had an amazing Gamba match at the Camp Nou. But he said the moment of truth will begin tomorrow. And of course, very early on in that press conference, rather unsurprisingly, there was a sea of questions all about the registrations of these new signings. Xavi seemed to me very calm, actually, very positive on the situation. He said the club are working really hard. He said they're making a very big effort right now. He said we're all very positive about the situation. He said maybe not all of them 100%, but he said we're going to see tomorrow. He said we have got right up until 2 hours before the game on Saturday, and he said right now we feel very optimistic. So Xavi, they're feeling good about the situation. Barça right now as we speak expect most of the signings to be registered after activating their fourth economic lever just this morning. And of course Gerard Pique, he is somebody right now who's coming to the fore again in a very delicate situation. He is going to vastly reduce his salary at Barça, which is also going to help very, very much so with those registrations. Xavi was asked, whether those registration issues have hampered his preparation, has that sort of altered your game plan going into this game? But again, Xavi, he seemed very laid back about the situation. He said, to be honest, it's got very little influence. It hasn't had much of an influence here on my plans. He said, because we can work now with so many different variations. He said, maybe it'll be one player playing instead of the other. He said, but in general, very few things have changed because now we pretty much got two players per position. I think that's really important there, very important to Xavi to illustrate, because that's the depth that we have now. Yes, if one player is missing, it's not ideal in any circumstance, but we've got players who can come in. We have a really, really good squad, and that is fantastic news. And speaking indeed about Gerard Pique, like I say, about to make a huge, huge sacrifice on his salary, but Xavi was asked there in the press conference, what are your plans with Pique? What sort of role is he going to have in your team this season? And again, I thought from Xavi, the answer very, very important. He said, I've told all of my players that we start this season from zero. He said this is a new season. It's going to be a demanding season. We're going to need the whole team to compete for all titles. But he said it's all going to depend on physical aspects, on certain things within the game and what I see in training there. So that first game, it's going to be fascinating to see who's convinced Xavi, who's worked their way into his starting lineup, and that is going to be very, very intriguing indeed. And Xavi was asked there, thinking about that squad, thinking about the players that you brought in this summer, do you feel as though Barça are the outright favourites for the title now? Do you feel as though you have the best squad in the league? But again, Xavi staying grounded here, I feel. He said, yes, we have signed very well. We brought in some brilliant players, but he said, now we've got to demonstrate that. He said, people may say that we have the best squad in the league, but we need to do our talking out there on the pitch and demonstrate what we can do with our style of play and getting the results that we need. So Xavi there, not getting overconfident there and not taking anything for granted there ahead of the new season. Speaking though of Xavi himself, he was asked basically, you arrived mid-season, you were treated there as the saviour coming into Barcelona, but now you're actually here after a full pre-season. You've had that time now, it's the beginning of a new season, a full one for you. Does that bring more pressure? But Xavi said, I'm excited. He said, I'm excited to win trophies. He said, that's what's going to actually make me a successful coach, to win trophies at Barça. And he said, it's also important here how we win. He said, since November, we've been implementing a style of play that's important to Barça. He said, I feel that the team has responded very well. And he said, do I feel pressure? He said, of course I do. He said, sure. But he said, just like I did in November, and I welcome that. I enjoy that additional pressure. But speaking now about some of the transfer rumours, we have heard a lot over the past 24 hours and indeed so the past few days about Aubameyang. We know that Chelsea are heavily interested in him. Thomas Tuchel also admitted that earlier on today that he has a great relationship with Aubameyang. They would like to bring him in, but are Barca going to be willing to part ways with him? Xavi was very firmly in favour of keeping Aubameyang. He said, I want him on my team. I like him a lot. He's come into the club. He's been humble. He's helped us a lot and he's an important player for me. He said there are players that I don't count on, I've already spoken with them, but the others, they are part of my plans. They are here to play, they are here to compete, but Xavi didn't completely close the door because he did say a lot can happen before the transfer deadline. And I think that's partly to do with the fact that Barca reportedly would be open to selling for 25 million euros. Barca feel as though if an offer of that amount arrived from Chelsea, they would find it very, very difficult to say no. But I just want to know your thoughts on that. If an offer of 25 million from Chelsea arrived, would you take it for Aubameyang, or would you slam that door shut? There has also been, of course, non-stop reporting on Frenkie de Jong, and Xavi was asked about his situation, about the same, would you like to keep him at the club too, like you would Aubameyang? And Xavi did say, for me, it is the same as Aubameyang. He said he is an important player, he's part of the squad. He said, of course I can use him, that's great. But again, he said, we will see what happens before August the 31st. He said anything can happen with Frenkie and for many other players. And I didn't feel really the same enthusiasm, the same drive behind that answer as the Aubameyang one. I think Xavi there a lot more strongly behind Aubameyang maybe than he was when talking about Frenkie de Jong, because he was also asked there about the whistles that de Jong received in the Joan Gamper trophy. But Xavi said, I didn't hear whistles in the Gamper. He said, I heard applause for Frenkie de Jong, but he said that people are free to express how and when they want to. He said it all depends really on how you perform on the pitch, whether they support you or whether they whistle you, but he did say, I think Frenkie can help us. But that door very much remains open and probably will do right up until the end of this month. Xavi too also gave his thoughts on a confirmed departure. That is indeed Nico Gonzalez heading to Valencia on a season-long loan. And Xavi was asked there, did you want to keep Nico? Was it actually the player in the end who wanted to go out on loan and get that experience? And Xavi admitted, he said, Nico came to talk to me about 3 weeks ago now, asking about a potential departure, but Xavi said, I wanted him to stay because I like him a lot. But he said then he came to me again a few days ago because he felt like he'd found a club where he'd get more minutes. And I understood him and I understood his situation. Xavi said there Nico has been incredibly brave in that decision, in the way that he's gone about it. And I wish him all the best. He said he will come back a more experienced player and he can still be a very important player in the future at this club. And that does show real bravery there from Nico to actually say, you know what? I want to go and play. I'm not sure that's going to happen this season here. I want to develop. I want to be in a team at the top flight, in the top level, and he has gone now to Valencia. And I really do hope that under Gattuso there he can be starting in that team, developing and growing in La Liga. But what does that mean then for Sergio Busquets and a possible alternative for him in this Barcelona team? Xavi asked then, well, who is going to play when Busquets cannot in that area? And Xavi did indeed confirm what we've been saying now for several days is that Miralem Pjanic, he will be staying at the club. He said Pjanic has convinced me throughout pre-season. He is going to stay with us. And we also do have other players in that area too. Frenkie, Frenkie de Jong, various options who can play in that position. Xavi even mentioned Andreas Christensen, who could be deployed in that area too. So there's plenty of options there if we do need that Busquets alternative. And Xavi, of course, unsurprisingly, was still asked there, aside from all the players who have arrived that we're looking, of course, else to register as soon as possible. Can we still expect more signings before that transfer deadline? Marcos Alonso, Bernardo Silva perhaps? And Xavi said, we are still planning ahead. We will see what's going to happen before August the 31st. He did say we will need some players to leave before more can join, but the transfer market remains open. There's work to be done, and we are working. So those right there, guys, were indeed Xavi's words from the opening press conference of the season ahead of Barça versus Rayo Vallecano. Now, don't worry, there is still going to be a match preview to come. There is so much that we have to get through ahead of this first game, but please do let me know your thoughts down below there on everything that we've heard today from Xavi, your expectations and hopes ahead of that first game, and I will be seeing you on the channel soon, and it will be soon indeed, for more videos. Thanks for watching, for getting involved as always, and for all of your support. But until next time, as always, Visca, El Barça.